welcome everyone, and we appreciate those in attendance today. Our invocation today will be given by Darrell Edwards, and our pledge allegiance. I'm going to ask Mr. Al, please stand. If you would stand.
Shall we pray? Father, again, we're just so thankful that you've spared us to be here today. We pray that you would watch over us, guide us, give us wisdom, Lord, as we make the decisions for the county. Pray that all that we do and say would be in accordance with your holy and righteous will. Pray that you would be with our county, Lord, as we go through the election process. Just pray that your will would be done, Lord, and we pray that everyone would be friendly, Lord, and cordial, and treat each other like you expect us to treat each other. We thank you for all that you do for us and everything that you have blessed us with. We pray that you would continue to watch over us. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda. Are there no changes? Do I have a motion to approve? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Doug. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Andy. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, item 1, new business, presentation and review proposed 2025 county budget. Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I'd like to welcome everybody as well for this budget review. We are a blessed county, and the resources we are entrusted with take time and effort to ensure all needs are met efficiently. This is the first budget workshop meeting for the county's 2025 budget. The Board of Commissioners have just received draft number 1, and together we will work through August with the goal of adopting the 2025 budget and millage rate on September the 10th Board of Commissioner meeting. The goal for today is to hear from our tax assessor, Ms. Myrna Taylor, and several other departments with the largest share of the budget, and for the Board of Commissioners to consider on how to best invest in Appleton County. The draft budgets are available to the public, both on the back table to those in attendance, and as of 9:45, were hung on the Board of Commissioners webpage. As this process matures, it will be important that we all are using the latest version. The version can be found on the upper left corner of the first page of the packet. Today, it reads 2025 first draft. As other drafts are produced, these will be archived, and we will run off the most recent. We have not received the projected tax revenue for the new budget, but have used last year's revenue numbers with growth indicated in known areas to get a draft document that we can begin our process and work from. Ms. Myrna Taylor will start us off with information that will get us moving in the right direction. Ms. Taylor, if you would.
Good morning. Now asked me to come up, and as he stated, there is no projected numbers right now. I could give you preliminary numbers, but that's putting the horse in front of the cart, or the cart in front of the horse. I am expecting some growth. I can't really project how much. I know GMAS is still working on the commercial schedules and urban land. I'm not 100% if that will be. They're looking at, putting it in this year. It's still a work in process. There's been some growth in the agricultural area where the chicken houses are going up. There has been, and it surprised me, with homes going up still with the cost of building. But I project some increase, but I can't really tell you how much. So my suggestion would be to, kind of start with last year's numbers.
Okay. So what you said is the way the reval is going to affect this year is through commercial
That's what we're looking at. It's
Looking
not
at commercial
100%
property and you said urban land?
urban land, which is your subdivisions.
Subdivision land, lots, things like that, okay.
But it's still a work in process.
All right. Have they given you any indication when when they're gonna be through
It'll be next year.
Next year.
Everything will roll out next year.
next year? Okay,
Anything else?
thank you.
Do you have an anticipated date that we can have some working numbers, maybe middle of next month?
Probably I'd have to have the digest pushed over to the tax commissioner by July the 15th, so you're looking at that week.
Okay, so July 15th, we can put as a working date for,
Yes.
That'll be everything you know as of that date. Okay. Thank you.
What portion of the valuation is going on right now?
They are working on land schedules and the urban and commercial schedules.
Okay. Are we looking at, anyways, the process in progress, that land use is maybe zoned agriculture or something other, and like I know that or I understand that the solar farms are still agricultural.
Well, it's agricultural, but the actual solar panels are considered personal property.
Why would it be considered I mean, how would it be
it's
considered agricultural?
Farm,
But
it's basically most of them are on actual agricultural land. So the land, the panels don't really affect the land. They're returned under whatever solar company. They're considered personal property. So
But the use of the property is different. It's not growing an ear of corn.
It's still just vacant agricultural land with the solar panels placed on them.
Myrna, didn't we have some kind of agreement with both of them? With the Development Authority brought us when they were proposing that solar, the one out there, Spring Branch, that passed.
There's like a 25-year.
Yeah, and it
abatement.
it laid it out what we would assess the personal property at, and I think it might have addressed the land too, that we would not change.
No, we didn't change the land.
We did not change the land. So, and I can't remember, wasn't it like $25,000 a year that the personal property was going to be?
I wish I knew this in advance. I'd have brought that paperwork
Yeah.
up.
I mean,
I think,
and we looked at it at that time, Doug, and we were getting less than $1,000 a year for that track. So to get those people to put those things in, that they look at everything they can, they see what it's going to cost them. And, we agreed to that $25,000, which was a 25-fold increase in the property taxes we were getting on that site at that time. So that's how all that comes about. So usually there's an agreement when they first come in through the Development Authority, works with them. So I don't know if we can just go change, if she can change the land use.
I know there's some out Highway 15 near the 4th District area. Now, they're not in.
They're not under that. That's a different one. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't that set us up for that type of discrepancy? Wouldn't that set us up for legal issues if we had one that was the same type use and theirs were being valued at one percentage or one type of land use, and then you got another one that's utilizing it for the same purposes in the same manner that's being taxed at a different rate?
Well, on that one on 15, I know the actual property owner still owns that property. And they're just leasing it out, and we have no zoning in the county. So.
Yeah, that is an issue.
On those solar properties, the land, I understood you to say that it's just like farmland. I mean, you still tax it like farmland.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, isn't the company that's got the solar panels, they paying a tax on it just like a utility tax, just like the power company and all, don't they, for the use, for their equipment being set in there? Wouldn't they be paying taxes on their equipment just like,
Yeah,
well,
on
we're
the
getting
equipment.
taxes from both sources there.
Well, I'm just That's one of the reasons why we need a land use zoning ordinance, to come through, is to identify these type situations and to rectify these type situations where we've got that Bitcoin mine out there, and that's leased property. The property owner still owns that, and but it's certainly a different use than what it was a year ago. And so, we need to, in my opinion, we certainly need to address the land use within the county so that we can identify and have some notification as to when a piece of property is being changed from one use type to another, or one use category to another. Anyway, okay, I'm asked, that was my question, was it still being utilized for business purposes, but it's still, as far as category, still categorized as
And, the better
agricultural?
way may be to list it as commercial, because it is an agreement with they're leasing out for, solar purposes.
Okay.
Minor, do you have an average of the number of landowners that have solar panels on their property?
I can look it up, but no, I haven't actually sat down.
Do you have an idea of what kind of revenue they may bring?
Not right off, not until I was to pull them all.
Okay.
Anything
Mark,
else?
you mentioned commercial and urban land. Is that grouped together, or is that in two different years?
No, your commercial land is where like a business is being conducted. Urban land is like a subdivision.
What I'm saying, are they being assessed together, or is that in two different years?
That's in 2 different years,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
believe, yeah.
Any other questions for Ms. Murray?
Do we anticipate finishing the valuation in 25?
Mm-hmm. That's what I've been told. They're gonna put boots on the ground, early part of first of next year.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I like to learn, I don't know if you're familiar with it, because I had received this, House Bill 581. And
It's got a lot to it, and I haven't deciphered everything out
I
on it
just-
yet.
it looks like there's a whole lot, and what I read, that counties could opt out of it.
Yeah, and I know there's some of the laws that were introduced will be on the ballot and
Yeah,
notice.
a fairly constitutional amendment, I guess, reading on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, I was reading on it, there's a whole lot,
Yeah, there is.
and
And they tried to cram it into us in 3 days in
Yeah.
Athens last month.
and I don't know if I read it right or not, but are they gonna tie our taxes or our values into the inflation rate?
I couldn't.
Yeah, there was something in there, and I said, that'd be
Now, I do know-
every year increase.
It's not going to affect the fair market value. I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is.
Uh-huh.
Now, it could, best I understand, throw something back on y'all as far as the 3%. I'm not 100%. I hadn't been able to sit down. My office is in a mess right now. Miss Pam is out, and I want to ask each of you to please remember her. Steve's surgery was scheduled for next Wednesday. Well, they pushed it up. He's having surgery this Wednesday. So they're heading back up to Atlanta today. Ryan, I didn't know this until Saturday, she called. And Ryan had already taken a couple of days off, so it's just 2 of us down there today, and it's been like a revolving door. But keep them in your prayers. They got a long road ahead of them.
Thank you, Ms. Murray.
All right.
Nick, Mr. Allen?
Okay, gentlemen, so we saw where our taxes are coming in and the approximate timeline. So I've asked 3 of my department heads to be here today to Two of them are some largest stakeholders in our budget, and I'm asking them to come and talk about areas they're asking for a possible increase, but also where they found ways to save in their individual budgets. The first up would be Ms. Timmy McGuirt with the Recreation Department. And for today's purpose, we're not going line by line. Of course, my department heads will answer any questions the board of commissioners have. We're here today to look at the large muscle movements or the large areas that there's either a request for or areas that have been notably saved in. So, Timmy?
All right. I give y'all a worksheet. The first one should be labeled, it's got football. Should be stapled together. I was just going to explain to y'all just kind of the way some of the fees and stuff like that we charged out of our budget before we dig into the budget. And again, I ain't going to go line by line, but if you look at the football on the side, it shows the actual, it don't give the, like youth supplies and youth labor and stuff like that. That's what's coming out of the lines, and you can look at that. It's just for football. And below that was what we did, and the next two was the All-Star Football Jamboree that we had in the district that we hosted here. Them's two events that we don't have to do. We ask to do them so our kids can play more ball games. We can bring people into Appleton County. And if you look at them two lines, the All-Star Jamboree, we had to put $1,180 in to host that event. Well, that money come out of the budget. That was money we had to spend to host that event. If you look at the next line, there was $3,207 come back in for spending that. So about, pretty good difference there. That we made money by hosting the event, but you don't see that money in our budget because it goes back to the general funds. So that's money we have to spend. If you look at the next one, which is district, it gets even higher. We got $6,374 in hosting that event, but by hosting it, we brought in $18,573, which is a 220% return on your money. So it's worthwhile to do it, but again, you don't see that $18,000 in our budget because it went back into general funds. So you're going to see some lines that we're going to go over on. That's the reason these lines are over, because we're doing more events, but we're bringing in more money. If you look at the second sheet.
Tim, you said 18,000. Where does that on the sheet here?
Which now?
18,000 you mentioned, talking about?
It's at the very bottom.
Actually, the 18,000 was a total of all three of them, of revenue that come in. If you look at the gate receipts, concession receipts.
That's the gross receipt.
It's a gross receipt, yes. But all of them were profitable.
Okay, so 899, okay.
Everything was profitable. We made money. We brought in more money than we spent.
It's always good.
If you go to the next sheet, that was the district tournament we just did here 2 weeks ago, or last weekend actually. We had 23 teams come in. We had to spend $5,320, which come out of our budget. But in return, we brought in $15,241 that come back to the general funds. That was a total of $9,921 of profit, which again is 180% investment on your money. I think we should keep doing it. If you go to the third sheet, that was two tournaments we had prior to district, and we just combined them both together. We had another $9,190 in expenses to host these two tournaments, but we brought in $28,977. So that was just to kind of let you see that we're going to have to spend money to make money. And the last sheet.
Timmy, that doesn't factor into the impact it has in the community also, with all the people in town eating and buying gas and going to Walmart and all the sales tax generated. So I appreciate that kind of stuff.
If I may, Timmy, and we also have a district swim meet going on today, correct?
Yes.
We have about 500 youth over at the pool with their parents, grandparents. So it's an economical impact almost every week for us.
Yeah.
If I could interrupt you real quick. So what Timmy said is correct. So on page 2B up front of the commissioner's budget and the ones that we have here, we do estimate part of our budget for income generated by the rec department. For instance, basketball, adult, youth, then it goes down cheerleading fees, everything Timmy just spoke of. However, Timmy is exceeding that revenue. That revenue goes back, so it pays for what we thought it should have, what we estimated it for, and then he makes a profit with it, which is commendable.
Mr. Al, let me ask a question right here. I know back a few years ago, Carol probably remembers it. The county used to sell sewer pipes. You could go out there and if you wanted to buy a sewer pipe, the county would sell you a sewer pipe. When the money come in, it went back to the general fund. It come out of his budget. He had to replace that sewer pipe. So at the end of the year, before the year was up, a lot of times whoever was in charge of the county was running out of money because a lot of the pipe were being bought and being used, and the money was going into the general fund and not back into his fund. So they stopped that on account of that. If you remember when Lee was here, Darrell, he stopped that because it was taking a lot of money out of the county budget. It wasn't getting put back in there, it was going into the general fund. Are there any way, the reason why I said that so you'd understand, are there any way that on this, and I understand this, you can't stop taking that money? I mean, if you're going to host events, you got to pay up front. But are there any way when this money comes in to put the expense of that back in his account and put what's made into the general fund?
I'm gonna have to ask Mr. Fonda that. Can we separate those funds in that manner?
With governmental accounting, you can't put it back in his budget like that. It has to show his revenue coming in through the year. It can't just go like back into his budget.
Well, are there any way that this board could set up a fund to pay those kind of expenses out of another fund? So it wouldn't be coming out of his budget to host those events and then let it all go back into the general fund? Or while we set the budget, are there any way to put the money that he's having to spend up front to host these events into an account that the county could pay for those events taking place, and then when he got his money, put it into the general fund, and it would all work out? Could you do it that way?
I will speak to the auditors to get correction on that, but from what I've asked them before, because they've already asked about like the money that come in from the concessions could be used for stuff for his events, but it's already showing in the general fund also as a budgeted line item. But we do have a separate fund that's just set up for the concessions, and that money, we can start writing checks to the rec department out of that one.
Well, that's what I think, is to
Consider
set
that.
it up somewhere where there could be some money to pay those upfront charges that he's not getting refunded, that's coming out of his budget, that's causing him to run short before the year's out.
Yes, sir. Sir, if I could, I'd like to table an answer for that, and Mr. Fonda and I will work towards a comprehensive answer for you. Thank you.
But no, we have adjusted the budget to hopefully account for all the money that we do need to host these events. And in all honesty, you kind of limited on time anyway, so we're about doing the max you can do with the fields and stuff like that with All-Stars. That's really the only thing we can host is All-Stars. We can't get into this travel ball stuff. It's just too big, them promoters. You just can't get the team. So we've accounted for it in our budget to work out for us, so we won't go over. And if you dig into it a little bit, you'll see we've actually done more budget reductions than we did additions on our part. And
Mr. Tim, I think I understand what you're saying, and this is just a thought that came to my mind when you were saying that. People's got a tendency to look at your budget, but they don't understand that these expenses that's right here. I mean, that's something, unless you tell them, they don't know nothing about. So in order to make your budget not look like you spending a trainload of extra money in your budget, if I were in your position, I would want it to come out of my budget and be put in an account to where I could say, hey, my budget ain't that high. Or I wouldn't want to keep adding it to my budget to pay that money that's not coming back, because it looks like he's spending a pile of money that's really he's not spending. I mean, he's making money with that money. He ain't losing money with it. So if I were in his position, I would want that upfront money to come from somewhere else. Don't put it in my budget, put it somewhere else to where it could be used, to where my budget could stay, to where people could say, hey, the man ain't, or I ain't, my budget's not $150,000 this year more than it should be because he's throwing money away. That's the way I would want it to be operated if I was in his position.
Well, maybe the gate receipts and entry fees could be returned to the concession account possibly, like we've got going with it right now.
Yeah, I think it could be worked out, yeah.
Such that it could be, disseminated in the proper manners, but, it could possibly even reduce the rec budget per se by moving those items over into the concession or something similar to an account.
That's what I was saying. We show what's come in for the year in the concessions line item, but
Right.
that account is actually larger than what that concession number shows on here. That's just for what we're taking in for this year.
Right.
So that's what I was saying, the money that's sitting there, we've talked about it before, about if they could start maybe writing checks out of that account for his expenses that he need for stuff like that.
Well, that's what I was saying, and Timmy, you understand, I'm sure what I'm saying
Yes,
is,
I understand.
whatever the amount is, 150,000, whatever it is money that's really not for your expense account. It is, but it's not.
Right.
And so if it come out of another account, it wouldn't show to his budget being, having to be more than it really is.
Just rather than going straight back into the general
That's right.
fund.
His budget wouldn't have to be inflated to take up for money that really he don't have no control over, other than not participate, and that'd be losing the county money.
Yeah,
I'm
actually,
sure there's a solution that the auditors. The other thing we could have is an in-house type document that showed
That's
his
what
total budget and then show
What comes
the
out.
revenue generated through this thing and reduce it by his total budget expenditures. Just an in-house document that wasn't approved in this thing, but for knowledge for everybody. But again, like Charlie said, people would look at the gross number on the budget and say, oh, well, Timmy's spending $100,000 more than he did last year. Well, we've got something going on every weekend.
They didn't realize that if he spent
$200,000.
that $100,000, they didn't but the bottom line is that the general public don't see he brought in $250,000.
the more we spend, the more we make.
That's right. So that's what I'm saying. It's not like I'm not saying that the public's a fussing, they just don't know. So, yeah, they're gonna speak up if they don't know. If they know, then they know, but there's things like that you don't know.
That's right. And it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, and just like the concessions fund that's accumulating funds in there, we can then turn around and use that for some bigger expenditure items that we need, like new fencing and things like that. We've
Tim and I
generated the
talked briefly
revenue.
about that.
We've generated the revenue over the years through concessions, and we could take those funds and use them
Reinvest.
to reinvest in the
Yeah,
the
it
new
would be
fencing.
nice to be able to put that money back into recreation and some
Absolutely.
capital items and upgrade some facilities or build some few new things we know that we need. And again, it wouldn't be $1 million projects by no means, but we need to upgrade a few little things, and like pickleball. We got to address pickleball at some point.
Absolutely.
It's got to happen. But, okay, that was just that was my spiel on the budget, so I guess everybody understand a little bit more why a couple of these lines has went up. That's the reasoning. And that would have been line 825 and line
33 is the page number.
848.
So 848?
Yeah, 848 is youth supplies.
I don't have an
It's
848.
847 on here.
848 on
I
mine,
don't have an 840. Yeah,
page
I don't
33.
have a 848 on mine.
I don't either.
Got 847 and
47 to 49.
Mine's
Yeah.
48.
You're missing that one.
You got 48?
This is 847 on my sheet.
Youth supplies.
I got 847.
What's you supplies, 847?
847
Yeah, mine's
is concessions.
Yeah.
Something is wrong.
846 is our concession.
Anyway, we got, Timmy, did
Disregard the number for just a second. This is good.
Yeah.
Youth supplies, yeah.
It's youth supplies.
Draft.
And that line's twofold. That would also be stuff we buy all our league stuff out of, and we have to spend some of that money for weekend tournament stuff. So that line's kind of a dual purpose. It ain't strictly, extra stuff. That is regular season stuff as well. And it's not a,
What are we paying sales tax on?
That's the money that comes in from the concession stand. Whenever they pay for something at the concession stand, Miss Yvonne has to, do sales tax on those items because we get them tax exempt whenever Miss Kathy buys everything. So when she sell them, they're sold with tax on them.
Okay, so, but it's listed here as an expense.
Because that's the money that's what she's actually paid back in.
Okay, so
for those
this
items.
is a payout of something that we've already collected.
Yes.
Okay. Does that show, do we have that as revenue somewhere else too?
The revenue is the concession stand receipts.
Okay, so it's not separated out in the concession receipts, so to speak, as income, sales tax income?
No, it's not showed as an income, it just showed as concession receipts. That's all of the items that she have sold in the rec concession, which is,
And that's including sales tax?
that's the
So that-
46,780.
Okay, so that number basically would be,
be 92% of that.
yeah, 92% of that number is actual
Actual sales and the rest is sales tax. And I mean,
Okay.
you could take that and record the liability here and then offset it with the check over there and it not show up in the budget, but anyway.
Yeah.
It's a lot more accounting.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was my question on I just saw the sales tax as a budget expenditure and, okay.
Timmy, did you build any improvement or into your budget here as far as what we talked about before, fencing or things like that, anything?
we didn't include any of that. We're hoping maybe discuss that later with the concession money. And
Okay.
we actually took our capital items. You'll see there's no number there at all. We actually took it completely out.
Well, it's just like you mentioned with pickleball too. We're going to have to address that, and it's going to take some money. So at some place, we've got to budget it.
Agreed.
If we're going to budget it through here, then we need to show revenue coming in to offset it out of the concession
Agreed.
fund. So anyway,
Yes, sir.
that's just for future discussion.
You have further, Mr. Timmy, or you just waiting on questions?
I'm waiting on questions if I'm done.
Tell me, what kind of activities do you have for the new gym?
For the new gym,
Yeah.
we actually had a basketball tournament over there a few weeks ago. We was going to do some summer basketball, but these new basketball coaches that's come in, they've kind of took that and run with it at the high school out there in the middle school. So we've talked to them about it, and they're going to kind of handle all that summer program. So other than we're going to revarnish the court in August, that's about it.
So we're not gonna have any activities going on over there during the summer?
Not right at this minute. We are still doing there is some summer basketball going over there that, for the girls, that's still going on. It coincided with the high school.
I'm getting a lot of concerns about not having no activity going on at that facility over there. We might need to address that sometime.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
Thanks, Timmy.
Next kid.
Yes, sir. Mr. Carol Weaver, the interim road department director.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning, Carol.
You're looking at page 23, which is the road department. Just a few things as far as some needs that we're looking at as far as this upcoming year. I have spoken about, if we can, trying to take on 2 new positions of laborers, which will increase our productivity a great deal. So we'd like to ask your consideration on that, and a few other things. If you're looking down through just a few items, that we have had a terrible increase of price of parts on our equipment and vehicles. So if you're looking at some of those line items, the increase, that's the whole reason behind it. You know, we did have some big ticket items this past year. When you consider in the price increase on parts, it really tells on you. Some of the other increases also that we talk about, I know all of you looked at the price of gas. When you're dealing with rock, coal mix to patch potholes and everything, all those things consist of fuel related items. So a lot of those things has went up for road maintenance. Some of the other things are metal pipe and all. So there again, metal pipe increase, they do not help. And I talked to the lady at where they supply us with our metal pipe, and she is telling me that there is no help inside as far as the cost of pipe, even your polymer pipes. We all know that takes fuel to coat these pipes. So there again, we're looking at an increase on pipe. And as far as equipment costs, you see on it, this is upcoming year is one that we don't have 2 motor graders going back. So there is some equipment that we have need for that we would like to take a look at and take a serious look at if you would really consider it with us. Any questions or anything? Or
What kind of equipment are you talking about?
we're looking at purchasing a new excavator, a new tractor for grass cutting, and a pickup truck.
Where would the excavator be going?
I want this new excavator to be doing nothing but digging pits. I would like to take the one we have now and put it on doing nothing but cleaning out tail ditches. We are so far behind with our tail ditches all growed up. We have so much problem with getting rid of water off our roadways. So it can stay busy right on, and we always gonna need dirt, so.
One other thing I was thinking about when you was going through it a while ago, and I don't know that there's a difference in the expense of them, and I don't know, but I know it years ago, I mean, for years, you know, we used cement pipe, and then we went to metal pipe, and all of a sudden we went to I call it plastic pipe. Now we're going back to metal pipe. What's the difference between the metal and the plastic pipe as far as?
There is quite considerable cost difference. Now, naturally, longevity of it, concrete pipe is gonna be there unless it gets damaged. But the cost of it is quite a bit of difference.
Between the plastic and the metal
Well, we
pipe?
don't use any plastic anymore.
What, I know they went to it one time wide open. What happened?
Well,
What's the difference there?
back then you couldn't get metal. If you remember, they had a shortage.
Yeah.
And plastic was the only thing we could get. But from looking back, and plastic just does not serve the purpose well for Dauphin County.
Yeah.
They get damaged too easily. I mean, a metal pipe, if the end gets hit, we can go off and just cut, you know, the end off of it and still utilize it.
Yeah.
Whereas this plastic pipe, it doesn't work that way.
No.
But your concrete pipes, like I say, really in our building of new roads, naturally we use concrete pipe on all of our new milled roads.
Yeah.
But
just looking, a couple of items here on, equipment repairs on line item 593. We budgeted 123, budgeted 124. We spent 171 in 23, we spent 150 in 24. Proposed budget in 25 is 130, is that enough?
Well, that's what I just said a minute ago. We did have several big ticket items this past year. We're hoping, see, we had to have some track work redone on some of the dozers. Those are big ticket items.
Right.
So that's the reason we only went with 130,000. So we're not anticipating any big ticket items, hopefully, in this upcoming year.
Okay, and then I was looking at gas, oil, and grease. Budgeted 240 in 23, spent 371, $130,000 more. Budgeted 280, we've already at 215. Do you think 3 is going to suffice there?
Well, we're not really sure. We're just trying to catch up. I mean, and there again, we all know elections have consequences.
Yeah, who knows what fuel prices?
That's right. We don't know what, I mean, we just been gradually trying to catch up. Hopefully we'll get there. But
It'd be better, yeah. Hey, that contract cleaning there, is that the,
that's our trash pickup on the roadway.
that's, yeah, that's in Carol's budget?
Yes,
sir. I don't know really any other place to put it, but Carol has no control over that.
Well, she does coordinate with him.
Right.
She completes that road section.
Right.
He goes and inspects it, so, and that is appropriate place for it, sir.
Well, just whatever the cost is, and that's
Yes,
contract items. So.
That has really worked out well. This is my first go around of
Good.
participating with this, but it has really went well. They have just completed their first round.
Good deal.
Mr. Carroll, I noticed it's not a very big item, but I just noticed in the pavement striping. I know that when we get new roads paved, we get striping involved with it, and we're getting a lot of money every year to do road striping. This in your budget, I mean, it's not very much, but do
Right.
you anticipate having to do any striping other than what's contract striping or paid for by the
That's
grants that
the
we get?
amount, the grants that we're getting through the DJOT and all that. We're going to do a majority of our striping with it. This 15,000 that's in there for that is like if we have to do spot overlays or anything like that, that's to catch those kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Carol, correct me if I'm wrong, but that prevents a mobilization fee. You can do that in-house with that those funds.
That's right.
Yeah.
Carol, the right-of-way spraying, I know it's pretty low right now, but you budgeted for 15,000. I mean, you're not going to spray anything this year?
We are. County manager and myself are looking at something right now. Hopefully we'll get to bring back to y'all shortly.
Okay.
I know all of you are familiar with Mr. Richard Lee's passing and everything. We have not got a sprayer person, so to speak, but me and Mr. Al's looking at something that maybe we can bring back to y'all in the near future real shortly.
We should have that by our next scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting. It's a
Okay.
proposal to hire that out based on the need and the expense it costs the county. But we'll have more numbers soon, sir.
Okay.
Carol, I do have one question. Of course, me and you've looked at, I know in my district we got hilly roads and they've been graded for many years and we got to the point that some of them are below grade level. Do you have the actually proper road building equipment, packer, water truck, and to speed this process up? I know you're doing it now.
Right.
But I also know how you're having to do it.
Right. Well, there is several pieces of equipment that we actually need, but me and Mr. Al is working on another one through our forestry system and all for us getting us a water truck.
Right.
So maybe that's gonna help us there as far as that one item.
Right.
But this new excavator, that will be another. If we do have to do any clearing or anything, we'll have an extra excavator that I won't have to stop one from digging dirt, that we'll have that we can use on some of these projects if we have to go in and, relay a bunch of pipe, because what you're saying, a lot of our pipes are higher than the actual road.
Right.
You don't have drainage.
You keep grading and don't put
Right,
back after
right.
a while, erosion.
That's right. So we're gonna have a ton of dirt to build these roads back up.
That's right.
And then we'll move in with the excavator and just relay pipe as we come to them.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a need for some equipment as far as doing like what you're talking about.
To do it properly.
Right.
Carol, how many employees do you have out there now?
I was just talking to Mr. Doug, don't hold me to this, I hadn't counted up, but I think with the shop and everything, there's gonna be either 33 or 34.
That's what I was thinking.
We used to have how many?
43.
40-something.
Let's take care of 500 miles of dirt, 500 mile dirt road.
It's just working
I know
more
you,
efficiently now.
you mentioned it here a while back, and I know it's not on this sheet, and I know it's, you can't do it all at one time. But one piece of equipment that you need extremely bad is a doggone great all. We need to do something with that thing we got and get one that'll work.
Me and Brother Al's
We
working on
thought that
that
was a,
We're working on that right now, sir.
we thought that was a bargain when we bought that thing of whenever it was, but I'm telling you, somebody naturally give us their problem.
You're right.
I'll share this with you. We've actually found somebody that might take it in on a trade.
Well, boy, I sure hope so, because we ain't got nothing now.
We're working on it, sir.
It was a good deal. That's what it's worth.
Oh, yeah, it was a good deal.
We'll hope to talk to y'all shortly about that as well.
And we're looking about a new one that will have a warranty.
No, our paved roads is really in bad shape for the ditches. I'm telling you, there's not one in the county hardly that you go down that from sewer pipe to sewer pipe ain't a hole in water.
That's right.
And some of them is they're about to run over the road.
You're right.
Not right now, but earlier.
Yeah, well, we'll get one of them three.
We could clean some out right now, couldn't we,
I'm
Charlie?
telling you.
Yeah, it'd be time to do it.
Yep. Any other questions from Mr. Carroll?
You say you need probably just two, just general laborers type?
Yes, sir. If we see what, right now, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. I'm having to stop an operator from doing his job if we have to have some flagging or anything done. I have to stop him, pull him. So if we get these two laborers, then we can get their flagging certified, and then that means we can still carry on and everybody's still doing their job.
Okay.
You don't put an operator doing labor work.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Carroll.
All right, thank y'all.
Carol. Next up's Dwight. He doesn't take the largest part of it like Carol and the other folks, Timmy. However, with air conditioning and just everything that he has to do, the number of buildings he has, I asked him to stop in today and just highlight a couple items on his budget, just to bring to the Board of Commissioners' attention that obviously maintenance is ongoing, always, but there are a few items that he'd like to bring to your attention. Dwight?
Thank you.
Yep.
And I want to go all the way back to the ones that was here when I got hired in. I appreciate y'all for giving me this chance, because I came in here to serve the county and to save them money at anything I can do. And the cost of my budget, you notice in 23 it was 601. And I actually reduced some numbers in that year, and it went over my budget.
Dwight, excuse me, what page are you on?
Oh, I'm
Say 17.
17. And I've tried to decrease my budget every way I can, and I've actually decreased some of the numbers, and it's got me in trouble, because we're going over. But some of the reasons we're going over is the price of Freon went from $125 a drum to $525. The price of air conditioners, the price of filters, everything. Everything I buy has went up. And this year, I had to make adjustments for it. And that's what's in there. Pest controls went up because we had to add fire stations because some of them was getting termites in them. So we had to have the termites treated, which was not in his contract, so we had to add it. So our price went up on that. That's thrown me over my budget as well. There's probably only 8 items in my budget that I didn't go up on. And it shows in my final proposal for 25. Paper. All kinds of papers went up. I mean, trash bags, they 50 cents a piece now. for the good ones, the ones that you need at Lake Mayor's out there. The air conditioner units I had to buy this year is up to 4. And I'm personally buying them from, not personally, I meant the company, the county's buying them directly from a wholesaler. And that's saving us thousands of dollars, and we're putting them in. Me and my 2 helpers. I rarely hire any contract help to do any of my work, but occasionally I'll get behind and have to.
I got one question. On the building repair and maintenance, 23 at actual was 62,000. Through May is 61,000, but I noticed that you increased your budget 50 from 100 to 150. What are you anticipating on that?
Air conditioning. I've replaced 4. When winter stopped, summer began, I've replaced 4 air conditioners that failed.
Dude, what number is that, if you don't mind?
Page 17, line item 487.
They're in the
487.
neighborhood of $4,000 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
And that's me buying them wholesale.
Right.
With us putting them in.
Okay.
Dwight, if you would, give us a overview, not an overview, a quick estimate of how many buildings you are actually responsible for. That kind of helps set the pace here.
Hey, if there's a county employee in it, I'm responsible for it.
That's right.
I'm talking about defects.
Actually, even some without, because defects don't have county employees.
They are county, right? No?
They're state.
Okay, they're state. But still, I got it, and I was about to say from defects to Pineland. And
What's the Ag
Sunshine
Center?
Center,
The Ag Center?
Ag Center. I mean, it's on, and the courthouse, the annex, the air conditioning never stopped.
If it's a county building, no matter who's in it.
Yes,
Oak Street offices over there.
Oak Street office as well, absolutely.
Everything, I just put a brand new air conditioner in Shonda's building this past week.
Died. So-
I put one, where'd that other one go? Oh, it was in Pineland. I put a brand new one in Pineland, $4,000. And it's not just that. We're still putting LED lights in every building. When we have a bad light, it don't matter if it's defects, Pineland, Shonda's office, I think we just about got all hers LED. But when we change bulbs, we change it to LED. That's saving power. Don't matter if it's defects paying the light bill or us. It's saving power.
That's one of those things that shows up as an expense for you, but it don't show the profit that's being saved
Exactly.
on the backside.
Exactly. And just like the air conditioning, if I contracted all these air conditioners out, oh man, y'all be screaming at me. This building alone has iView controls. Before I came, there was a contract air conditioner come over here once a week and took an override off of a heater because the heater got a glitch in the lights and it thought it went to override and turned the heater on. I do that at least once a week on the controls. The heaters will come on randomly. And I've talked to Mingledorf Controls. They said, unless you can rerun all those wires up there in the attic, you probably can't stop it. I said, I ain't tackling that.
Where's the actual heat on the wiring in the top of the building is
The
causing
heat-
it to overshow the override?
The heat is in a box up here in the ceiling, and it's in every place that has a thermostat.
Mm-hmm.
And the controls is in my office on a computer. And if it gets a glitch in the wiring, it'll think it's supposed to turn the heat on because then it overrides it to 0 on the thermostat. The thermostat says, well, I'm at 0 degrees. I need to turn the heat on. So I do at least one a week, and sometimes 3.
Is the heaters are on individual circuit breakers, is that correct?
Correct.
Why don't we turn them off?
What if it gets cold?
And we turn them on. It's gonna be 4 or 5 months before we have to turn them back on.
You will hire, no. Let me explain this system to you.
Yeah.
She loves it. This system is a chill water system. It has 2 air handlers. Those air handlers discharge air is set at 55 degrees 24/7 unless you shut them down at night. It's blowing 55-degree air in this little old room over here, and that box is wide open, and it gets down to 68. Somebody in there cold. They want some heat. So the box will sense that it's cold, and it'll turn the heat on and warm it up. Now, I know you think that's wasting energy, correct? But if you don't run those air handlers at 55 degrees, you're going to get humidity in the building. Because that's the process of a chiller, a chill water system. So you're stuck with it.
Just gotta live with it.
Now, trust me, I try to minimize it. I do. When I'm in that office, I'm searching and checking, and Robin's calling. I'm cold.
Am I cold?
Let me tell you what I did just recently. I talked to Tim down there, said their rooms down there was humid. So I looked back at the air handler, and it was doing 62-degree air. I said, there's the problem right there. It's not pulling the water out at 60 degrees. So I changed it, did a little override on the chill water, changed it to where it would do 55 degrees, and I got rid of their humidity. So.
Well, we're getting into problem solving now. I guess we need to get away from that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I try to let you know what I go through and how I do it.
Yep.
Your projection here is your budget's going up by about $100,000, is that right?
Yeah, that's what it looks like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I went over in 23, I'm gonna go over in 24, and I tried to reduce some numbers for the 24 budget, and it got me, it's burning me. So I put enough in there, I said, well, I'm not going over on the next one if I can help it. And I do try to do things as cheap as I can and save the county money.
Anyone else?
Oh, yes, equipment purchase. What's, I see you're not gonna be ordering things this time around.
Actually, the building and grounds is responsible for all the grass cutting, and it's been being done by the sheriff's department. So we gave them all our equipment as far as grass cutting. I bought them a edger, not an edger, but to trim the hedges with. And I'm just afraid we're gonna have to buy some lawnmowers with the.
So you let them do the work?
Yeah, because I don't think they got that in their budget. So it's in my budget, but they do it, so.
Okay.
And they've had those mowers about 6 years now. So they could be at the end of their life.
They cut Oak Street and the courthouse annex and courthouse, and where else did they cut?
They cut Oak Street, they cut Pineland, they cut Sunshine Center and DFAX. I don't think they cut the EMA. Yes, they do. All right, they cut the EMA. I was about to ask you. They cut just about anything. They cut the sheriff's department.
Right. So they cut a lot, that's what I'm asking.
The only thing I don't think they cut is Lake Mayor's. I know Rec.
Rick does that.
Where'd he go?
He's gone.
I know Rec's still doing the Lake Mayor's, and I think they may do the other landings as well.
Yep.
But if we need we're doing all we can do on building maintenance most of the time, but if something comes up, needs cutting, we can't get it, we call Adam Bell and he takes care of it. Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Gwitt.
Thank you, Rod.
Thank y'all.
Ms. Robin, would you pass out those draft schedules?
I already have.
They already have? Okay. My bad. I walked in late. Gentlemen, if I could ask you to refer to the draft proposed schedule for the remainder of the budget timeline and planning and work sessions. Today is obviously June 17th. We've had a work session. So based on Ms. Taylor's information of not receiving the revenues until mid-July, I would like to recommend that we do not have a June the 25th budget workshop. However, our next scheduled Board of Commissioner meeting is July the 9th at 5:30. I would like to recommend we have a budget workshop on that day at 3 p.m. Go 3 to 5, take a break, and then begin the regular scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting. The remainder of the timeline is in red. We will also, on August the 6th, have a regular scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting, and I would ask consideration of having an early meeting, possibly 3 p.m. as well, to finalize or continue working on the budget. And then on the 15th, no meeting, 15th of August, excuse me, no meeting, but as the date that Ms. Deborah Carter, our outgoing tax commissioner, will have the 5-year history, and my office will send that to the newspaper to run on the 8th and the 21st edition. Robin, are those numbers right, the 8th and 21st?
Yes, because 8/20 is on a Tuesday.
Okay.
That's what you had written down.
Got it. That's correct. That is good. I didn't have my calendar right in front of me. My bad. And then on August the 20th, we would have, I would like to ask that we have a final meeting to review proposed budget after all revisions are made. And our goal is on September the 10th, on our regular Board of Commissioners meeting, approve the budget and adopt the millage rate.
That August 20 meeting, what time is it?
Sir, that would be at the pleasure of the board. The 20th is a, what day is
Tuesday.
that on?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
All right, we still got a while to figure that date out, ain't we?
We do have a little time to work on that, sir. I'm more focused on the eliminating the June the 25th meeting and adding a budget workshop to the July the 9th prior to our regular monthly board meeting.
I ask, public input or opportunity in the schedule?
In subsequent, in the rest of these, there will be public input, sir. Today, they got the stuff the same time the public got it and same time it went live.
So July 9th and August 6th will be public comment opportunity?
There will be opportunity, sir. So at the pleasure of the board, I'm really asking just to add a budget workshop prior to our July the 9th regular scheduled meeting.
And the August 6th.
That's correct, sir, and the August 6th.
And delete, and not have one next week.
Yeah, and not have one next week. And I know it sounds like a lot of time between the July and the August meeting. That gives us time to work through issues. We have a new tax commissioner that will take over 1 January. So the old Miss Deborah, tax commissioner, will be working with her, with us, to develop her skills, and that gives us time to work through issues, get publications made in the news banner, run a good timeline, and be ready for when the Board of Commissioners are ready to adopt the mill rate and budget.
Notice that Daryl's here. Was looking through May 24, budget looks good as far as yours is concerned, but I have noticed several increases through it. Is there is the 307 budget you think going to be adequate through for the 2025?
Yeah, I think it would. Actually, I have a major equipment purchase from it. Other than that,
So you do or do not?
I do not.
Okay. That's on page 14 if y'all are looking for it. I'm sorry. Al, one question as far as general, I think that's it, Darryl, thank you. One general question, have we, on the payroll and that kind of stuff, have we put in a 3% yet, or have we done anything on that? Has there been any increases on that? This is a general question.
We have discussed a possible 3%. I've not become in front of the board. Today's a workshop, but I would like the Board of Commissioners to consider a 3% COLA for all county employees.
So that's not included in here?
I did do a 3% on some of them. Some of them, the numbers were way off from previous years. So I'm trying to regulate them from the actual numbers that were taken in 2023. Just for he's on the EMAs as an example. They were at 135,000 in 23, but that's including the overtime hours and everything that they had for that year. So with the actual, just him and Brent working their regular hours, it's a lot less than that, the 110, but I figured the 3% off of
the 110?
Off of that.
Okay.
So
so yes, it is.
I'm sorry, I'm not interrupting.
It is included.
It's included, and the ones for the elected officials, they haven't been put in because we haven't got the actual state.
So that's why this is still a draft, obviously a draft document.
Right.
Also on that, Robin and I spoke with ACCG on a Zoom call last Friday, and because of the Appleton County standing and our rating with ACCG, the amount the county inputs to the
Defined
employees,
benefit.
excuse me?
Defined benefits.
The defined benefits, that's the phrase I was looking for. Specifically the retirement plan for the county employees, our input was reduced by 4%. That equates to about $95,000 less that we're going to have to pay ACCG on retirement expenses for our employees this year alone. So the salary piece, the ACC 2025 salary guide has not come out for elected officials as well. So the budget will stay in this state and with our estimates in there until we get all those factors put together. And that will come at a later budget meeting.
Mr. Al, I told you previously, but that's good because I can remember one time, maybe a couple of times in years past, that we actually had to put a pretty good sum of money into that retirement at the end in our budget to get it up to where it needed to be. So with us getting a reduction,
yes, sir,
we must be doing pretty good.
We are, sir.
Yeah. What about health insurance? Have you talked with?
We have. We met last week with Lighthouse. They'll have us numbers, but was it in mid-July, the numbers for them?
I don't remember what date they were gonna have the figures. If they were gonna start, marketing, putting it out on the market, they expected us to not have as great a discount as we normally do because our claims have increased a lot. So they're reviewing all of that. They did mention a few options like Humana, just a possibility, just some things they were throwing out there that would help offset some of the costs or the no new cost, but not getting the benefit from having low claims. The rebate, refund.
At the end of the day, our employees use the insurance as it's designated, and it did cost us a little bit of the goodwill we had with them. The pharmaceuticals went up greatly, but we're working with them on that, and they're shopping it out, like she said, trying to find us the best price.
One item that I noted that on page 23 there under road department, we moved the road construction